Oh, Jack Bonham couldn't save a PowerPoint, says Ethan. Welcome back to Where Potters Walk. We're talking about Bonham, Gibson, Tchamadeu and Koumas this week, following, of course, that Cardiff result. And we've got Ryan and Carl back with us. We're also looking back on the transfer window. How good or bad was it overall for Stoke City? And who is the worst ever Stoke City manager? We're, of course, signing off on the worst ever Stoke side. We've got it here. We finished it off last week, but now we need a manager to add to it. And, of course, Jack Bonham was put in that side by these two a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much for joining us. This is 20 minutes of Stoke City chat with Ryan and Carl this week. Let's jump into it, shall we then? Who's at fault, Ryan, for your exit from the FA Cup?
Do you know what? It's a tough one because actually we second half we played brilliant. Berger, man of the match, obviously. I'm going to say obviously it's got to be Jack Bonham. I mean, his penalties. Victor Johansson ever. A lot of people have said Victor Johansson in goal. I think we go through on penalties, but I generally can't say who's at fault because I don't think many people are at fault for it. Apart from obviously the first half we were dire, but that was the whole team, and then the whole team again come through second half, and we pulled it into a 3-3. So
yeah, let's look at some tweets, Zoe, from the game. Davo said, "How nice of Ben Gibson to let I think it was Colwill run straight to goal." Liam, of course, who isn't here this week, said if somebody could sub off Bonham and Gibson out their contracts, that would be fantastic. I mean, it was Gibson mainly, I think, Carl, that was getting lots of the pelters online. Thoughts?
Shocking. He was awful. That first goal, they just literally run through Gibson. And the second goal as well. I mean, between Bonham and Gibson, they should have dealt with that. I mean, I pinned the majority of the blame on Gibson for that. I think he let the ball bounce over him, which, you know, number one rule when you're playing football as a kid, don't let the ball bounce in a dangerous area. Get your head on it, put your foot through it, then it bounces. It goes over the top of him. Bonham comes out and does absolutely nothing, and then it ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah. Of course, we've been doing the worst ever 11 across all our channels. It would be no surprise to you that Ben Gibson made it into I forget which team it was now. Norwich's worst 11. That's it. Yeah, and of course you put Jack Bonham in there, so it says it all, doesn't it? However, let's focus on the positives because there were some, and we're not all negative on here as we promised. Koumas got his first ever career double in that game. Scott says brilliant today. Lewis Stokey says thought he was excellent today. Should be proud of his performance, but why was he put out in front of the cameras? Where's Gibson and where's Bonham? Goodness me, it wouldn't have gone down well if he was in the cameras. How's he doing overall for you, Koumas, Ryan? He loves scoring against Cardiff.
He's certainly growing as a player. Confidence is growing. He's finding dangerous areas to put himself into. For example, a Wouter Berger pass, which created the first goal and the second goal. Them two have a link up, which we have seen before. It was brilliant. So Koumas now is just. I think if we got him in the summer, you know, I'd be happy with it. A lot of people will probably write it off and say no, I wouldn't be. But he's growing as a player, and he'll continue to do that. And so did Luke Cundle when we had in these young lads. It's just all about backing them.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about Chamadou? Because he's has split opinion generally throughout the season, but. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. Wayne says, I've been happy to eat my words regarding Tchamadeu. It's clear now that he was actually just being misused and poorly guided under Pellet. He looks a completely different player under Mark Robbins with lots and lots of potential. Tom says, some of our fans are thick, though. If he doesn't run around like a headless chicken, then he must be awful. Same as Nzonzi, Arnie and Shaq, etc. Weird idiots thinking like it's still the 1980s. Dan says, lovely to see him finally showing his shoe qualities. Always has been a brilliant player. Same with Junio. He'll come good for us. He'll probably be prime Zidane between now and the end of the season. Knowing full well we'll probably be looking for him to move on in the summer. What's your thoughts on Chamadou, Carl?
Brilliant. I think he's had our vote, Andy, a few times on here the last couple of weeks for Player of the Month. Start of the season. Again, whether he's just been misused or what, I don't know. I just think that as a player, he's come on leaps and bounds this last month or two. It does sort of coincide with Robins taking over, but I think we could see glimpses of it under Palak. It just seemed to be improving, and again, we've said it on here time and time again. This is a very, very young team. Some of these players, they're still learning, and they're going to be learning from now till the end of the season, probably even next season. It just seems that Chamadou seemed to be picking up the game very quickly, and he's become a key player for us. He's become one of the most important names on that team sheet for Stoke at the minute.
Do you agree, Ryan?
Yeah, 100%. As Carl's just said, they're growing. Okay, they're going to make mistakes. So is every young player. But Chamadou's come on leaps and bounds. Everyone knew there was something inside. And now he's finally releasing it. And I think Robins has said, just be expressive with your play. And he's finally doing that. He's finally taking players on, pushing, and he's creating chances.
Okay. The transfer window closed last Monday before we spoke to you. So I just want to get your view on just overall how you think the club done. Of course, you haven't seen all these players play yet, so we can't ask you for your final grading on it, but that's the one I wanted. Yes, so we got a left back in Wilson Sprun from City, al-hamadi, as we mentioned already last week. Lewis Baker obviously returning from Blackburn to you, and Ryan and me is there as well. Not huge in terms of numbers, Carl, but in terms of positions, did you get what you wanted?
No. I think it was, so far we seem to be happy with al-hamadi. Josh Wilson-Esperan, again, we needed a left back, but we needed so much more that window. And I see a lot of people, and I'll hold my hands up and I'll say the same, blaming Walters. But I think the club, we as the fans could do with knowing how much trouble we're actually in with this financial fair play, or whatever it's called now, because I think we're in trouble with it more than what people think. And I think that has stopped us signing a lot of players. So yes, okay, you can point the finger at Walters, but I think that this has been going on before Walters took over. I think there's mismanagement. I think we've spent millions on players yet again that have not been good enough, and I think that's led to a very poor transfer window for us. I really do.
Ryan?
I'm going to back it up completely. I personally think we need a bit more experience in the left back role. Wilson-Esperan hasn't shown anything as of yet. Okay, it's early doors, but as I say, we needed a lot more depth. We needed players. We were begging for deadline day to just make one announcement, and we didn't. And everyone was so disheartened by it. But it's not. I don't think it's Walter's fault. It's not. It's obviously John Coates' fault within, managers in and out and feeing out with paying for these. But I think we're in trouble, FFP, and that's why we couldn't do the business. And at the end of the day, we've just got to accept that we can't sign no one at the moment, and we just have to make do with what we've got.
Okay. Big week for Stoke City then in terms of fixtures. First of all, a trip to Bristol City midweek, and then a home game against a really out of form Swansea, or were out of form Swansea, Carl, before this weekend. Is it a minimum of 4 points from those two for you?
Yeah, I'd say you got to look at 4 points, and I know Bristol away will be tough, but obviously Swansea have just beat them, and it's the same old with Stoke. As soon as you're about to play a team that are out of form, they'll always pick up a win, probably 2 wins in a row, and you end up facing all of a sudden an informed side. But we need points. We now need points. I think we've exited the FA Cup. All the focus has got to be on the league now, and just building on what we've been seeing as of late, and try to push away from the danger zone.
All right, we'll be reviewing that in 7 days' time. Before we finish, then, we've been putting together with Liam over the last 3 weeks, the worst ever Stoke City 11. Time to have a look at kind of what you did, and I've got to say, this is one hell of an awful team. This is certainly get relegated, Ryan, wouldn't it? I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at it makes me laugh actually. Some of them players because before signing him, I think anyone in the Championship would have gone, "Yeah, I'll take him. I'll take him.
Yeah.
But realistically, they just didn't show up, and they just couldn't be bothered. They should have been doing more.
The club where good careers come to die, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stoke
We
City.
kill everyone.
Right, we need a manager though. We need a captain. So first of all, help us out in the comments. Who's the worst out of those 11 there that needs to be the captain? So we'll get you guys to choose that for us. But we need a manager, please. Carl, who's the worst Stoke City manager of the last 20 years?
How long have you got?
I would just start saying that.
Obviously, Palak was shocking for us. I think it was the wrong time and the wrong club for him to try to start his career, so he's got to be up there. Paul Lambert, also, he was brought in at the worst possible time, so he's got to be another name. And then Nathan Jones. I think the thing is with Nathan Jones, he was quite egotistical with it, so he kept promising us the world and ultimately delivered nothing. So for that reason, because I had such high hopes with what he was doing at Luton, I was so excited when we appointed him. I'm going to go for Nathan Jones.
Okay, Ryan?
Wow, I could list off 100,000. Gary Rowett, another one, so promising. Firing with Derby. Derby were gutted. He was another one, very promising. But I'm going to go very much recent as Palach, because the Palach ball just did not work, as we've all said. And unfortunately, we weren't the club to start his career off, as Carl says. So I'm going to go most recent with Palach.
Okay, two good shouts. Let us know in the comments who you would have chosen. Finally, this week then, to finish off, it's Valentine's Day on Friday. So we're asking these guys about their love interest in Stoke City. Where did it start and who's responsible for this life of torment that they've gone through? Carl, can you tell us what your first game was and how you fell in love?
Yeah, so I actually feel quite dirty saying this, but being a kid, my dad didn't watch football much. He's always been into more motorbike racing, so my uncle sort of brought me up on football, and he was a big Man United fan, so I did follow Man United. But then, as soon as I started high school, I think it was, about 11, 12, some of my mates were going a game. I think we actually played Wolves, and we beat Wolves. So from the age of 11, 12, right the way up to 36, I've been falling in and out of love with Stoke City ever since. Mainly out of love lately, but yeah, that was me.
Yeah, you never divorce them though, do you? You might split up from time to time, but you never divorce.
Yeah, no, they're always there.
Yeah. Ryan?
I've got it actually just to the side of me. So my first game was Saturday the 1st of September 2007, and we played Wolves at home. And the lineup, I mean, I'm looking now: Simonson, Shawcross, Lawrence, Delap, Greswell. Great side. First game I've went. All my family Stoke. And actually, I'm a bit younger than Cole, so
You're lucky though, you know.
You're a lot younger.
Bit younger than Cole. So my experience of Stoke days has actually been more highs than it has lows. So it was the season we went up to the Prem. Was my very first season I got took, and then we obviously had a glorious 10 years. And as I'm getting older, obviously things get worse as you get older everywhere, your body and that. Seems Stoke are as well. So unfortunately, I'm going with a call of the highs and lows, but hopefully we can have. I can get back to the highs again, and wherever we go, I'll always be with them, and that's just how it is in life. You support your family's team, and you stick with your dad's team, and I'll always stick with Stoke City.
Brilliant. No Port Vale fans in the family for either of you then? That you know.
Actually, yeah, I will. No, I have got my my nan's partner. She was a Stoke fan. Now she's a Vale fan. I sometimes want to she's been a few Vale games, but we have that banter. You know, it's great. But yeah, I've got one.
All right. Cheers for that, fellas. Share your love then for Stoke in the comments. What was your first game? Who got you started? Who's responsible for it? We'd love to hear stories. We'll read some of them out next week. Right, enjoy your trip to Bristol City then. You two on a Wednesday night. That is some journey. We'll see you back after the Swansea game next week. See you there for that. Have a good week, everyone. And don't forget to let us know in the comments, excuse me, who should be the captain of that awful Stoke side. See you next week.